10 Extraordinary Russian Legends. Hello, now you will discover 10 legends from Russian cities. Subscribe and discover 10 extraordinary legends that this country has. The last one gives us a beautiful life lesson. 1. Baba Yaga, the witch from the ends of the world. In the heart of Russia's deepest forests, where pine trees rise like silent guardians and the wind whispers ancestral secrets, lives one of the most fascinating creatures in world folklore, Baba Yaga. This legendary witch is not just a common villain, she is a primordial force that represents the wildest and most untamable aspects of Russian nature. Baba Yaga inhabits a unique hut in the world, a construction that balances on enormous chicken legs, capable of spinning and moving according to its owner's will. The house itself is a reflection of the witch's dual nature, simultaneously grotesque and magical, threatening and protective. Surrounded by a fence made of human bones crowned with skulls that serve as lanterns, Baba Yaga's residence is both a sanctuary and a prison. But it is her means of transportation that draws the most attention, a giant iron mortar that she pilots through the skies, using a broom to steer and erase her tracks. This detail is not merely fantastical, it represents the deep connection between the domestic and the supernatural in Russian culture, where even the simplest utensils can become vehicles of magic. What makes Baba Yaga truly special is her ambiguous nature. She is not simply evil or good, she is a tester of souls. Travelers who encounter her hut are subjected to riddles and challenges that reveal their true character. Those who show courage, kindness, and intelligence may receive powerful help, while the greedy and cruel face terrible fates. 2. Kashiai the Immortal, the villain who defied death. Among all the dark figures in Russian folklore, none is more terrifying than Kashiai the Immortal. This skeletal being represents humanity's deepest fear, death that refuses to die. His cadaverous appearance and supernatural powers make him an incomparable antagonist, but it is his secret of immortality that makes him truly unique. Kashiai discovered a way to cheat death in an extraordinarily complex manner. He removed his soul from his body and hid it in a sequence of protections that seemed straight out of a cosmic puzzle. The soul is inside a needle, which is inside an egg, which is inside a duck, which is inside a hare, which is inside an iron chest, buried on a remote island in the middle of a stormy ocean. This structure is not just physical protection, it is a poetic metaphor about the nature of life and death. Each layer represents a different aspect of existence. The needle symbolizes the fragility of life, the egg represents potential and rebirth, the duck and hare symbolize wild and free nature, while the chest represents civilization and its treasures. The isolated island symbolizes the final isolation of the human soul. Kashiai is often portrayed as a powerful king or noble, but his immortality has completely corrupted him. He kidnaps princesses, terrorizes entire kingdoms, and uses his magic to cause suffering. His only weakness is that if someone discovers and destroys his hidden soul, he will finally find the death he has so long avoided. 3. The Frog Princess, Beauty Beyond Appearances. The story of the Frog Princess is one of the deepest meditations on judgment and destiny in Russian tradition. It begins when a king decides that his 3 sons must marry, but in a peculiar way. Each prince must shoot an arrow and marry the first woman he finds where the arrow falls. The youngest prince, Ivan, sees his arrow fall in a swamp, where he finds only a small frog. Reluctant but obedient, he marries the creature. What seems to be a cruel irony of fate reveals itself to be something much deeper. The frog is, in fact, an enchanted princess of extraordinary beauty and wisdom, cursed by a jealous witch. During the day, she remains in frog form, but at night she transforms into a woman of incomparable grace. She demonstrates extraordinary magical abilities. She can weave the most beautiful fabric in the world, prepare banquets that appear from nothing, and dance with such elegance that she enchants the entire royal court. The tragedy of the story arises when Ivan, impatient and ashamed of his frog wife, decides to burn the frog's skin while she dances in human form. This impulsive act prematurely breaks the enchantment, but also forces the princess to disappear, as the spell had not yet been completely broken by true love. The legend teaches that appearances deceive, that true value is not in outward form, and that patience and acceptance are fundamental virtues. Ivan must then embark on an epic journey to find his lost wife, facing dragons, witches, and other dangers to prove that his love is true. 4. Ivan the Fool, the Wisdom of Simplicity. Ivan the Fool is one of the most beloved and paradoxical figures in Russian folklore. He represents the complete inversion of traditional values. While his brothers are clever, ambitious, and calculating, Ivan is considered simple, even idiotic by his family. However, it is exactly this simplicity that becomes his greatest strength. In story after story, Ivan is ridiculed by his family for his apparently nonsensical actions. He gives food to hungry animals when he barely has enough for himself, offers help to strangers when he should focus on his own problems, and makes choices that seem completely illogical to practical minds. But the universe of Russian legends rewards genuine kindness above cleverness. The animals Ivan feeds become his magical allies, the strangers he helps reveal themselves to be powerful beings in disguise, and his foolish choices lead him to treasures and adventures that his greedy brothers never managed to achieve. Ivan represents the deeply Russian belief that purity of heart is more valuable than cunning intelligence. He is the personification of the idea that the humble shall inherit the earth, that true wisdom comes from the heart, not the head. In a society where survival often depended on cooperation and community generosity, Ivan symbolized the values that kept communities together. 5. Morozko, Father Frost, the Judge of Winter. In the frozen vastness of Russia, where winter can last half the year and temperatures can kill in minutes, emerges one of the most respected and feared deities in folklore, Morozko, Father Frost. This imposing figure governs the harshest months of the year, testing mortals with relentless cold and storms that can bury entire villages. Morozko is portrayed as a powerful elder with a beard white as snow and eyes blue as ice. He wears clothes that shine like ice crystals and carries a staff that can freeze entire rivers with a touch. But Morozko is not just a destructive force, he is a moral judge who uses cold as a test of character. When he encounters travelers lost in storms, Morozko asks a simple but profound question: "Are you cold?" The answer reveals everything about the person. Those who respond with bitterness, complaint, or despair are frozen to death. But those who respond with humility, gratitude, or even kindness, even while shivering from cold, are rewarded with warmth, shelter, and valuable gifts. The most famous legend tells of a gentle young woman who, abandoned in the forest by a cruel stepmother, encounters Morozko. Even while freezing, she responds politely to his questions, thanking him for each small relief. Morozko, impressed by her kindness, covers her with warm coats and presents her with precious jewels. 6. Domovoi, the silent guardians of the home. In every traditional Russian house, it was believed that a special spirit lived, the domovoi. These small beings, usually invisible but occasionally seen as hairy little men the size of children, were considered the true guardians of the home. Their presence was so accepted that families would leave small offerings of food and drink to keep them content. The domovoi was deeply territorial and protective. He knew every corner of the house, every inhabitant, every routine. When treated with respect and regular offerings, he protected the family from dangers, warned of imminent fires, cared for domestic animals, and even helped with household tasks during the night. But a disrespected or ignored domovoi could become a silent nightmare. He would shuffle objects, sour milk, frighten animals, cause insomnia and small accidents. Even more frightening, he could leave the house during the night, leaving the family vulnerable to other evil spirits. Moving to a new house was particularly delicate, as the domovoi from the old house might refuse to accompany the family. Special rituals were performed to invite him to come along, including leaving some ashes from the old fire in a small pot and carrying it to the new house while murmuring respectful invitations. 7. The Firebird, Zhar-Ptitsa, the bird of light and shadow. In Russia's deepest forests, where sunlight barely penetrates between the canopies of ancestral pines, lives one of the most magnificent and dangerous creatures in folklore, the Zhar-Ptitsa, or firebird. This magical bird is not just beautiful. It is a force of nature that represents both creation and destruction. The Zhar-Ptitsa is described as a bird the size of a peacock, but with plumage that shines like living flames. Its feathers emit a golden light so intense that it can illuminate an entire forest during the night. Its eyes shine like stars, and when it sings, its voice can heal diseases or drive one mad, depending on the purity of heart of whoever hears it. The bird appears only to those who face great challenges or moments of transformation. It can appear in prophetic dreams, offering clues about the future, or appear physically to those who have lost themselves literally or figuratively in their lives. But encountering the Zhar-Ptitsa is always a test. It offers extraordinary blessings to the pure of heart, but can bring terrible curses to those with selfish intentions. A single feather from the Zhar-Ptitsa is an incomparable treasure. It can illuminate the darkest path, cure any disease, or grant visions of the future. But taking a feather without the bird's permission brings catastrophic consequences. storms, plagues, or the relentless pursuit of the bird itself. 8. The Sleeping Tsarevna, A Thousand Years of Frozen Dreams. The Russian version of Sleeping Beauty is much darker and more complex than its Western counterparts. The Sleeping Tsarevna does not sleep for just 100 years. She was cursed to sleep for 1,000 years in a tower of transparent ice, atop an inaccessible mountain in the far north of Russia. The princess was cursed not for pricking her finger on a spindle, but for refusing a powerful and malevolent suitor, a sorcerer who would not accept being rejected. In his rage, he condemned her to sleep until someone deserved to wake her, but he set almost impossible criteria. The suitor must be pure of heart, brave enough to face Arctic dangers, and capable of true and selfless love. The ice tower where she sleeps is surrounded by supernatural dangers, storms that never cease, giant wolves that hunt in packs, and visions that drive travelers mad. Those who manage to reach the tower find the princess sleeping in perfect beauty, preserved by magical ice, but waking her requires more than a simple kiss. Many heroes have tried over the centuries. Some were killed by the dangers of the path, others went mad upon seeing the princess, and some simply could not awaken the true love necessary to break the spell. The legend suggests that she still sleeps, waiting for someone whose heart is pure enough to melt 1,000 years of ice with the warmth of genuine love. 9. Sadko, the musician of the sea, between two worlds. Sadko represents one of Russia's most poetic and melancholic legends, telling the story of a poor musician from Novgorod who possessed an extraordinary talent for playing the gusli, a traditional Russian harp. His music was so beautiful that it could make stones weep and birds stop flying to listen. Despite his talent, Sadko was despised by the wealthy merchants of his city, who considered him merely a beggar with an instrument. Desperate and lonely, he went to the shores of Lake Ilmen to play his last song before throwing his gusli into the waters and giving up his dream. But his melodies were so moving that they awakened the interest of the Sea King himself, who emerged from the deep waters to hear him. Fascinated by Sadko's music, the King of the Oceans invited him to his underwater palace, where marine creatures from all over the world gathered to dance to the sound of his harp. In the underwater kingdom, Sadko found unimaginable riches, magical beings of indescribable beauty, and a life of comfort and admiration. The Sea King treated him like a son, offering him immortality and power over all the oceans. Sadko could have everything, except return to the human world. Sadko's tragedy is the choice between two worlds, the magical kingdom where he is valued and immortal, but isolated from his humanity, or the human world where he is poor and despised, but where he can find true love and genuine connection with other mortals. The legend explores the price of art and genius, questioning whether recognition is worth the loss of the human soul. 10. The Magic Humpback Horse, the Alliance of the Unlikely. The legend of the Magic Humpback Horse is one of Russia's most beloved, telling the story of a young peasant named Ivan, not the same Ivan the Fool, who becomes a hero through an unlikely alliance with a seemingly useless creature. The horse in question is small, with a grotesque appearance. It has 2 humps on its back and extremely long ears. When Ivan finds it, everyone laughs at the strange creature, considering it a defective and useless animal. But Ivan, moved by compassion, decides to care for the despised animal. This decision proves to be the wisest of his life. The humpback horse is not just magical, it is extraordinarily intelligent and powerful. It can fly faster than the wind, speak like a wise human, and possesses knowledge about all corners of the world. Most importantly, it becomes the most loyal friend anyone could have. Together, Ivan and his magical horse face challenges that include tyrant kings, giant sea monsters, powerful witches, and seemingly impossible tasks. In each adventure, it is the combination of Ivan's simple kindness with his horse's wisdom and power that triumphs over apparently superior adversaries. The horse represents the idea that true allies can come from the most unlikely sources, and that judging by appearances can make us lose extraordinary opportunities. The legend also celebrates popular cleverness over brute force, showing how intelligence and loyalty can overcome resources and power. These 10 legends form only a small part of the rich Russian mythological tapestry. Each reflects deep aspects of the Russian soul, the importance of kindness over cleverness, the belief that nature constantly tests human character, and the idea that life's true treasures are not material, but spiritual. They continue to fascinate and inspire, reminding us that even in the coldest and most challenging lands, human warmth and the magic of imagination can flourish eternally.